Welcome to Daily Work Remote Strategies. Today's topic is the thing you start today is the thing you start today. I'm Senia Maymin. You're probably familiar with me from these daily webinars, but if you're not, I'm very excited to be running our coaching group. And we have incredible coaches, and we're here every day at 11 a.m. Pacific, Monday to Friday. Okay, the thing you start today is the thing you start today. What is this? Why do I care about this? Why might you care about this? Sometimes, even though most of us who come to these sessions, we're leaders already in organizations, within groups, in organizations, within departments, even if we're leading outsourcing groups of people, we're leaders in something, and we know a lot of things that we should do, but there are some things that we still don't do. So there is still often that one or two things that we might not do. That's what today is about. I'll show you a sign that I have on my wall. It's not particularly beautiful. It's not particularly designed, but it's something that gets me to look at it regularly. So here, I'm gonna lift it up for you. It's very loud. Here we go. All right, do you see this? It's literally that statement that I just said. The thing you start today is the thing you start today. All right, so Senia, why are you showing us this loud, big, huge sign that you have on your own wall? First of all, I purposefully did not make it beautifully designed or incredibly designed. It's messy, it's handwritten. There's a concept in, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sort of out of focus here. Let me get in focus. All right, there I am. There's a concept in psychology called perceptual fluency. That's a fancy term. It's a very cool concept. That's a fancy term for if something is hard to read or hard to see, you actually pay more attention to it. So if you want to trick yourself into paying attention to something, write it really messy or scratchy or with funny drawings around it. Something that's not nice and typed and clean. That will make you pay more attention to it, which will turn your brain on more and will make you likely process. It's about perceptual fluency, how fluent it is to process that. So that's why I have this in such a funny way written on my wall. What is this? I am a huge fan of the Kaizen way and small habits and things that we can get done. But sometimes one project, let me just choose a project. I'll choose one that actually did get done, but it took me a while. One project, like doing the administrative work to get something going, it takes a back burner. And when it takes a back burner, there's a cost to it. So an example of a project is I love doing these daily webinars. We have amazing coaches who are guests and who give us specific content. And there's a different way that I've been wanting to broadcast these. They're broadcast on Zoom, they're broadcast on Facebook, and I've been trying to get them broadcast in a different way. And I filled out a form once to do that, and I filled out another form. So I'm really excited this is likely to be happening soon. It got through this week. But the problem is, if I hadn't filled out that form a month ago to be in the beta trial for this, or even a couple of weeks ago, this would not have happened. So when we don't start things, when we don't start projects, there's a cost to that. That's why I have this weird looking sign on the door. So what I want to talk to you about are the projects that you want to start, but feel that you're not quite starting. And the concept is, if you were to start something on that, the thing you start today is the thing you start today, what would you have tomorrow on this thing or the day after? And my corollary to all of this is that the thing you start today, to the degree that you can, there needs to be an external action. An external action is calling a vendor. An external action is putting something online for people to see. An external action is calling someone who you don't even know that well. Those are external actions. An internal action is, I will think about this blog post and the content of it. That's also useful and that's good, but it doesn't necessarily get you one step closer. So that's one idea. And I told you I would seed us with two ideas and then we'd move on to Q&A. And the other seed and a similar corollary to that is Ray Bradbury. So who, would you raise your hands or just write yes if you've read Ray Bradbury? We tend to be a science fiction family, so we've read a lot of Asimov, Bradbury. So would you just let me know if you've read Bradbury, and I'll look at both places where to see. Okay. So I'm not getting a lot of people who've read Bradbury, but we'll see how you guys all do. I love him as a writer, but I also love just the variety, the range of his stuff that he had. This was Ray Bradbury's way in which he wrote stories. He would write a story and send it out to a publisher. this is way before the internet, when it would come back rejected, which it invariably they did, he would turn it right around and send it that same day out. So we're talking mail, we're talking post office. But in doing this, Ray Bradbury didn't have the story sitting with him. They were always out there being processed. It was always on somebody else's shoulders in somebody else's hands. So I'm presenting to you two concepts. The thing you start today is the thing you start today, and something about getting it off your plate and to an external place so that you get to hear back from that source. Those are two possible concepts, and now I am completely open for questions. These questions can be about anything. As you know, the Friday sessions are Ask Me Anything. We have one question teed up from earlier this week, but I'll hold on and give the people who are on this call a chance to type in, what am I asking? I'm asking, what is frustrating to you? What is your biggest burning question this day, this week? What is something that if you could have immediate anonymous coaching could move you forward? So I'll give a pause for people to type in some answers. You can type this either into the Q&A section or you can type it into the chat section, whichever you prefer. Ha! Okay, we'll get started. So, okay, a very common question given what I've just talked about starting things today and getting things that are external. So there are a few people who need some projects, who have some big projects to do, like filing quarterly taxes, filing taxes. It's the deadline for all of us from first quarter had been to July 15th. I understand that. And cleaning out garages. So these are some things that are, let me also share priority with you. So even for example, in these two examples, doing something like your taxes and doing something like cleaning out your garage, which one would you prefer to be off your desk and starting that process? Whether it's getting the tax refund or having a cleaner path from one place to another in your garage, what's more important even in those situations? And I think it's clear. I think I'm not acting as a coach. I'm being very biased in how I ask this question because yes, you do want to get your taxes off your plate. It's heavier, it's more important than cleaning out your garage. So I would just say if you have some projects and they're kind of frustrating to you or they're kind of messy, I would just say pick the one that you know is more important to get off your plate. What else? What other things do you have? Tell me really your thing, because that's the point of these Ask Me Anything Friday sessions. Okay, I'm seeing a little disagreement with the approach that I presented. So this approach of the thing you start today is the thing you start today, and this approach of like the Ray Bradbury, getting it out the door all the time. So the criticism that I'm seeing is, sure, Senia, that works if you have 3 things on your to-do list, but what if you have 10 or 50 things that are important and they're on your to-do list? Certainly, I'm going to suggest to you, and you would suggest it yourself, to prioritize those things. But then I would also encourage you to play with that. There's a game we have in coaching called the perspective exercise. So to come back, this is probably going to be our last concept here, to come back to this idea of I have 50 things on my to-do list. Certainly, you and I would both recommend, okay, prioritize those. What are the most important in that list? But then I would also say, of those things, what can you get out so that it's in process somewhere else? Whether it's filling out an application or a form or one of those things that has additional steps. And then you can handle the things that are yours. So I'm going to give you 2 things that are contradictory, but it fits with what we were talking about yesterday about integrative thinking, which is holding opposite beliefs both together and trying to get them to align. So here's this opposite beliefs. First, get out those things where you need somebody else to do something, certainly. But also at the same time, work on the things that are most important for your work, your career, your company, and your family. So this is a little bit of a dichotomy. And what I'm saying is, how can you balance that? Focus on your big rocks, but also get out those things that you can't even really make progress on until someone else gets you some information back. If you agree, if you disagree, let me know, but that will be sort of our concluding concept. So I'm going to summarize everything that I've said that you've been asking in questions. The idea is, I don't have my sign with me anymore. The thing you start today is the thing you start today. What is that thing that if it were next Friday, that you would be excited would have had some forward movement? Just take a moment to consider that. What is that thing that if it were a week from now, if it would have had some forward movement, whether by you or somebody else, that you would be thrilled about? And that's what I'd like to leave you with. Looking forward to seeing you again. We're back again next week, every day at Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific. And I wish you happy work remote strategies and life strategies and decreased stress strategies. And given that it's Friday, I wish you a really, really enjoyable weekend. Thank you for joining us.